call the meeting to order when she comes in and is ready.
Good evening. I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Jamestown Public School Board to order. It is Monday, January 19th, 2026, 5:30 p.m. in the Thompson Community Room at the Jamestown Middle School. We'd like to recognize all those in the audience, including our music students and families, so welcome. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Does the board have any conflicts of interest? Any conflicts of interest? Any conflicts of interest? Okay, moving on. School board norms. Jason, would you read the school board norms?
The board developed norms are to share and respect opinions and speak with a united voice once a decision has been reached. Execute all duties of the school board in compliance with North Dakota Century Code. Properly prepare for meetings. And commit to assessing board effectiveness and ensure high-quality governance for all stakeholders.
Thank you, Jason. Nothing under public communication. Moving on to the consent agenda. Would any board member like something removed from the consent agenda or have anything clarified? Okay. If not, is there a motion? Motion by Steve. Second by Aaron. We have a motion and a second for approval of the consent agenda. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? If not, assuming roll call vote, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Moving into our regular meeting, we have our music recognition tonight. And Aaron, if you would please read them off slowly. And as your name is called, please meet me over here. We have a little item for you. Once you come to this spot, just line up along here on the steps because we'll take one big group picture. And parents, don't be afraid just to come right up in the middle and get a really good picture right in the front.
Okay, there's 4 separate categories here. So students accepted into UND Honor Orchestra: Mia Tyson, Maggie Stegmiller, Marissa Molson, and Elia Tyson. Students accepted into the UND Honor Choir: Aiden Lorenz, Shelby Dunwoody, Emma Hoke, Eden Ellingson, Joey Taylor, Siri Tweeton, Brayton Gerdes, Sierra Perlyberg, Rhea Halima, and Lily Reinertz. Students accepted into the Midwest ACDA Honor Choirs in Milwaukee, Wisconsin: Braylon Gertis, Jovi Taylor, Ella Lean, and Shelby Dunwoody. And the students accepted into North Dakota ACDA honor choirs: Alice Sundin, Ella Lean, Clay Bingham, Micaiah Renovic, Ethan Erickson, Brighton Ackerman, Aiden Lorenz, Evan Loreen, Tyler Buckton, and Ian Lean.
Under correspondence, we received a holiday greeting from the North Dakota School Boards Association. Under reports, Student Council report. Hi, state your name.
My name is Makeda Pettis. I'm the Executive Vice President.
Thank you.
So lately at Student Council, we've been planning for Snowball, which is this week, so it starts tomorrow. We have some dress-up days that we have lined up. So Tuesday, we're going to do Pajama Day. Wednesday is Holiday Spirit, so you just dress up as your favorite holiday. Thursday is like a decade day, so where the seniors dress as senior citizens, juniors dress as like middle-aged adults, sophomores as teenagers, freshmen as babies. And then Friday is Jersey Day. The dance is going to be Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. I put the wrong date. And then the pep rally is going to be on Wednesday during 7th period, so it doesn't conflict with any sports. And then also during Snow Week, we have our 8th grade orientation, where the middle schoolers come to the high school and tour it and learn what different opportunities we provide. Student Council oversees like giving tours and giving information about different teachers and classes to the students. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? We're really excited about that 8th grade orientation that you do. I hear really good things about that, and the Student Council does such a phenomenal job putting those 8th graders at ease for moving to the high school the following year. So thank you for all your work.
Thank
And
you.
Thank the Student Council as well. So thank you. All right. Under Board Education, we're going to start with the internship portion.
Good evening. I'm Veronica Askew. Can you guys hear me okay? Yep. Okay. This is my 5th year teaching at Jamestown High School, and this is my first year with the internship program, but Adam gave me some really good information about how it got started. So I believe all of you may have gotten the handout. It began in 2017, and we have pretty much had it every year since. We typically offer it in the fall. This past year, I was kind of told, hey, you're going to do this with very minimal notice. So usually students apply to it in the spring, and there's somewhat of a vetting process. But this year, we only had about 5 students who took the class. But the requirements, they have to be a senior, they have to be in good academic standing, they have to be able to complete 60 hours at a given internship site, and then they meet with me once a week, usually on Wednesdays during period 7. The rest of the week during period 7, they're expected to be at their internship, so minimum 4 hours a week. The program philosophy, really, we're trying to give students the opportunity to explore a potential place that they would like to work, whether that is someplace that they only need a certain, maybe an associate's or in a training program, or if they want to do a 4-year. Really, that we just want to give them the opportunity to get their feet wet, build relationships in the community as well, but then also have structured activities within the classroom with me, doing different activities, building skills, relationships, things like that, which we'll talk about here in a second. The objectives of the program, that career awareness is huge. Develop employment readiness, because a lot of seniors, a lot of them do have work experience, but still they're not quite ready for the transition from high school student maybe working part-time to a full-time employee, and then identifying and progressing towards career goals that they have. A lot of students come in and the first thing I ask them is, what do you want to do? What placement do you want? Because we got to get going on that pretty early, and the look of panic in some of those kids' faces is like, oh, I knew this is what this class was for, but now I really have to think about it. So once we identify what they're interested in, progressing towards a goal within that. The requirements for the course, they do weekly time logs, just to make sure they're hitting their base numbers. They do journal entries to describe what they do at their internship site, participate in the weekly seminars with me, and then at the very end, they complete an individual reflection and a portfolio. I do have a couple of them because I just ended, so I haven't put them away for the year yet. But typically the girls like to get very artsy, and the boys, because of their handwriting, they will make PowerPoints, so you know, that's just how it goes sometimes. But then the only other thing that I really have to leave you with is some of the things that we talk about in our weekly Wednesday classes. We talk a lot about collaboration. It's really fun to do collaborative exercises, especially with a small class. And usually they are from all aspects of the school. So there's usually like a music kid, there's an athlete, there's maybe a quieter student, and then they get brought out of their shell. A lot of those collaborative activities are really fun to do. Talking about etiquette, and then within the workplace, what does etiquette look like? Goal setting, we do a lot of interest inventories as well. We do career clusters, we take personality quizzes, so they figure out who is maybe on the shyer side, maybe who is way more outspoken. All of that fun stuff. And then I was able to accumulate quite a decent list of past internship sites from our inception to most recently. My 5 students in the class this past semester, I had 2 at Jamestown Police Department, 1 at Interstate Engineering, 1 was at the high school, and another was at Face to Face Salon, completing their hours. So overall, the students really do enjoy it. Even some of the students that I've had this past year, they really were surprised at how much they enjoyed it. And they're like, okay, yeah, this actually like reaffirms what I wanted to do. And then I had one student in particular who completely changed what she wanted to do for college, changed her potential major. So it was, it's pretty impactful, and they have honest conversations about what their future could look like. So yeah. Are there any questions?
Thank you. Jamie, go ahead.
It's a great program. I love this. I was wondering if there's a local business that wants to get on this list and work with you guys, who would be their contact, or how would they go about that?
Honestly, I'm the one that does a lot of the contacting. When I first started out, I reached out to our counselors, and they were able to help with some. But at the time, I didn't really know that Jerry does a lot of the work-based learning, and he has a lot of those relationships built with businesses as well. So I think in the future, he and I will work very, very closely with the work-based learning, and then this is just slightly different from work-based learning, to reach out to different businesses, because it's absolutely phenomenal when you can have students in the community, and a lot of the sites are like, can they keep coming back, please? Like, you can keep coming back. I know your hours are done, but we would really love to keep you. So, yeah.
So Veronica, do you think if a business was interested in maybe wanting more information on how to have it, if they called the
Absolutely.
CTC center, that's probably a good
Absolutely.
location to call?
CTC, or they could absolutely call
Or central
me at
office
my-
here, and we
yeah.
can get them connected, okay,
Yep.
with you.
And depending on what type of services they have or what that business does, it might be a better fit for work-based learning, which Jerry will talk about here in a second, or it might be a better fit for internship. So at least if it's on one of our radars, I think that would be awesome, because it's definitely a fantastic program.
Sounds great. Any other questions from the board? Aaron, go ahead.
Are there grant opportunities or tax incentives for businesses to engage in this program?
I have not looked into it, honestly, because I got this very last minute in August that I was going to be like on an overload with this course. So it's kind of been a little bit of a run and gun sort of a semester, but I would love to talk with Jerry, and I'm sure Adam would have a lot of information
they're on
about
it,
it.
so.
Yes.
We'll look into that.
Yes.
Just as a means to, engage incentivize it, yeah. And then the demographics of the students that are engaged in this, are they primarily college-bound students then?
Yes and no. I think of the 5 students that I've had, I would say 3 of the 5 are definitely college bound. 1 is definitely going towards the trade route, and then 1 isn't quite sure what she wants to do. She had her mind set on like something, and then this experience kind of shifted her a little bit, so she's actually been talking about a gap year. But it's been a mix of students, because one of my colleagues did it in past years, and I was talking with him, and it's kind of a mix of trades, maybe going straight into the workforce, but then also 4 years traditional.
Any other questions from the board? Well, thank you very much. We
Thank you.
appreciate you coming in tonight. So next we're going to hear from Jerry and Teresa Olson from the work-based learning aspect of it.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Jerry Wagon. I'm the work-based learning coordinator, and I've been doing this for 3.5 years. I can't believe it's already been that many years. It goes very quickly. And this program, it's a great program where basically the students are going to take a chance, not take a chance, that sounds bad, but they're taking their information they've gained and their knowledge and skills that they've learned within the classroom, within the CTE setting, whether that be business, welding, or some other pathway that a CTE has, and they apply it in the real world and get that hands-on experience, as they would say. And the great part is that they're going to get a chance to go out, try an experience, and find out, is that something they would like to do before they make a commitment to like a technical school or 4-year college, or just going straight into the workplace. And so it's a really great program that we've got going here. And it's also part of the Choice Ready, getting our students ready to be workplace ready. And because we're trying to get our students to be ready to be good employees for the state of North Dakota. And so I think it's a fantastic program in that way. As far as students and how they get in, there's an application process, and they're looking for a couple references from teachers. They need to do that, but they also have to have at least 1 full credit of CTE classes related to what they're going into. And we say 1, but ideally we have more than that, and the vast majority of our students have 2 or more credits in that as they go out into the workplace. So that kind of sets them up. We meet in the fall, we do an onboarding process. There's so many aspects of the job site that you really can't cover it all, but we want to keep working, and we're trying to expand upon that. And so hopefully that's something we can work with as well. One of the big things that I really want to point out tonight is this work-based learning program cannot happen without our businesses. Our businesses are a key component. Without them, we couldn't do it, obviously. And so we got to have them. And I think you guys had an informational sheet that was sent out to you earlier. And we've had like at least 54 businesses participate in our program. Many of them have done it more than once and had multiple students there, sometimes at the same time. And they're, like I said, they're totally invaluable to us, and we have to have them there. And because we've been together, and I've been doing this now for 3.5 years, I think I've forged some really great relationships with the businesses. And if I need to get a hold of somebody, and sometimes the students will come in going, oh, by the way, and I have connections, and that's very helpful. But the students, I'm surprised, some of our students take the initiative and start it themselves. I had one student come in before the winter session, and he said, hey, well, why don't I reach out? Holy cow, that's the kind of student we really want, and I'm so happy to have that. As far as the business types that we've had, you name it, we've kind of have done it. But anything that's related to CTE, we've had childcare, we've had HVAC, elder care, welding, you name it, we've done it. And the businesses give a chance for our students to come there, and our students are there to give back to the business as well. So it's a great win-win relationship for everybody. And I'm always looking for feedback from the businesses. And so when we're all done, I always do a exit thing. And one of the most common things that I hear when I go to the businesses, geez, I wish I would have had this when I was a kid. That's the most common phrase I've heard. And I couldn't agree more. How do you disagree with that? But having businesses are huge. And I have Ms. Olson here. She's just going to speak briefly about what her experience is having the students come into the Little Blue Jay nest. So, Ms. Olson.
As Mr. Wagon said, my name is Teresa Olson, and I'm the coordinator for the Little Blue Jays Nest. This is my first year where I've actually had students come into the Little Blue jays nest where I'm their supervisor there. In the past, I've had students go to other businesses that I've worked with Mr. Wagon on. This fall semester, I had 9 students who were part of work-based learning who came and helped us out in the nest, and it was amazing to have that. To have the extra hands to help out with our littles or to go do dishes, just that extra set of hands there of people who care and want to be there. We've had a couple students who stay 2-3 hours after their time because they enjoy being with the kids. It's just that chance for them to explore and affirm that, yes, this is what I want to do, or nope, I think I need to look at a different career path. One of the huge benefits for us, too, is that we have Mr. Wagon who meets with us, and we can talk about those hard things of, we call them in career and tech ed, the CRPs, the career ready practices, and those are things that employers are looking for, the timeliness, the integrity, do you show the initiative to do things? So if we have students who aren't necessarily at that level we want, we can have those discussions with them. They can meet with Mr. Wagon to help build some of those skills. For us as the Little Blue Jays Nest, another benefit to us has been we've been able to hire 2 of our work-based learning students to work for us after school is out. So that helps with our workforce situation there too, to keep within ratio. So it's been an amazing program for us, and we've really appreciated the opportunity to have our students earn that credit and to be able to spend time with us.
Thank you, Ms. Olson. Appreciate that. Just the number of students that we've had over the years, I think you saw we have like over 94. This next upcoming semester, I'll have the biggest number I've ever had, and that's 36 students, which is awesome. And we'll be coming and going, and that's a good thing. I'm glad a lot of them are in the Blue Jay nest. That helps. But I've also been working with, I've had probably, I think I want to say 5 students now from Pingree Buchanan, which is also part of our co-op and our consortium, I should say, at the current tech center. So that's valuable too, and we always want to look to expand that. I think that's important. So with all that being said, I'm really happy with the work-based learning program. I'm looking forward to it growing, which I think it will for sure. And always looking ways to improve. We're looking for feedback from the businesses, and I can't say enough about that. And so I want to thank you for the opportunity to be the work-based learning coordinator. It's been a real joy. It's every day I enjoy coming to work because nothing makes me happier than seeing students get a chance and come back and just glow about their opportunity, to make somebody in a care center smile. That make my day. And so, anyway, with that being said, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Jason, go ahead.
Yes, thank you for coming and all you do. I think this internship / work-based learning / CTE model is going to be the future of education. I just think that the choice ready is going to be where it's all at, in my opinion. My question is, have we locally thought about expanding this to underclass? When I say I mean like juniors per se, or even down to sophomores. We heard Miss Olson talk about like the workforce ready skills. Are we looking at doing anything at some of those lower grades maybe to look at those types of things and even get them on some sort of trajectory to maybe what they'd like to do before their senior year?
That's a great question. We do allow juniors to be in the work-based learning program as well, as long as they've had those the credits that they will need. You know, so some of Miss Olson's students are actually have that as well. We do the Compass profile is one of the things that are required, and our counselors are great about getting that out there now so the students have a chance to take a look at what they might be interested in. So that kind of sets them up a little bit so that, and I believe they're actually starting down here at the middle school and working their way up. But yeah, so hopefully they start exploring. You can never start too early when it comes to a career. Of course, we're going to change our minds 6 times, but that's all right. Yeah, you're welcome.
Any other questions from the board? Aaron?
I was like, yeah, I'm a big fan of the program too. I think it's, like you had said, a win-win between the students and the employers, and get to learn from each other and get to leverage that workforce. I think it would be interesting to capture some testimonials after going through this year and seeing, do employers and mentors have any, things to contribute to the program, to get some input, because I think that it is very beneficial. So, yeah, I'd be interested in supporting that.
No, I think that's a great idea. I always like to do that exit survey kind of at the end of each year. And one of the pieces of information was make sure the students know how to do professional email, because, we're so used to just texting. That was one of the best things, and so we talk about that. I really emphasize talking about communication because, well, it's everything to us, that. So, yeah, thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Have a great night.
Thank you to Teresa, Jerry, and Veronica for all that you do. And also, I just want to give a shout out again to all of our businesses in the community. I had a chance to be up at the Curtech Center when the Lieutenant Governor was here, and they had a list on the wall of all the businesses in our community that are involved and support our students for the work-based learning and internships. And it was a very impressive list. And so thank you. A shout out to our community and our businesses that help support this. Moving on in our agenda, we have Mr. Gaylor, the Strategic Plan Progress Monitoring. So do you want to do a motion, or do you want to wait and hear the presentation first? On the board?
Let's hear the presentation.
Okay, all right. Adam, we're ready for you when you're ready.
So while I'm getting this pulled up, just to answer one question about resources related to internship, there is a state-run program through Department of Commerce that is called Operation Intern, and it does apply to high school age internship and work-based learning experiences as well. And that's a $5,000 match for companies. The window is typically opened early after the biennium if the legislature authorizes it, and it fills up almost immediately. So I know that there's a lot of interest in that, and you can get your name on a wait list, which essentially means if there's funds available at the end of the biennium that they would that'd be available for businesses as well. But a lot of our businesses just see that benefit, providing it for students and future potential employees as well. Okay. So we are progress monitoring one goal in culture of learning and then one in leadership of learning. So it's kind of a two-part presentation here. You guys are aware of our emphasis on culture of learning and how that culture helps us meet our mission and vision. Goal 1.1 particularly, we pulled out a primary metric in this that has to do with families and community perspective. So maintaining a 4 of a 5 rating on the Cognia Family Survey, and then maintain or exceed 45% of students classified as emotionally committed on the Cognia Engagement Survey. So the Student Engagement Survey, will be administering that again here at the end of January, February, and these are results from last year. The Parent Survey or the Family Survey rather, was one that was administered this fall. Our metric, our goal was 4.0 out of 5, and our district average was 4.3. So anything when you're averaging, you're looking at multiple buildings feeding into an overall score. That overall score did meet the goal. And then if you look at some of the sub-scores underneath, you can see different areas where we scored higher or lower as an average as a district. I think what's really important about this data is that this data then goes to our district school improvement, and they look at their school's data, because not every school is the same in that data set, and some have areas of emphasis that maybe didn't meet the goal, and some have areas of excellence to celebrate with their staff. So the survey is pretty straightforward. They ask you to rank on a Likert type of scale, and it's just those statements that are written there. The adults make us feel welcome. District average 4.48. Another example, the adults are committed to trying new things to improve the school, a rating of 4.32. So then those district school improvement groups by building are able to discuss their results and make a set of findings, which then they put into what they call a theory of action, which is an action step, essentially. What's the most important thing for us to work on next? When it comes to the student engagement survey, we pulled out in different areas as metrics within the strategic plan. There's 3 areas that are assessed in that student engagement survey. There's cognitive, behavioral, and emotional. Our emotional engagement is what falls into the cultural learning, and our goal was 40% as a district, and we did not meet that goal. We're just shy of that district goal in 24-25. So we don't have this year's results yet, but those will be coming hopefully sooner this year. When you can break this down at North Dakota Insights and look at different demographics. You can look at the school level, and so I provided that as some context to the overall emotional engagement. Also on this slide, you can see the definition that the state uses, which is a student's feelings towards his school, his or her school, learning, teachers, and peers. So a series of questions, again, that come together to form that overall emotional engagement score. This has been the same set of questions by level. So the middle school students have gotten the same set of questions over time. The elementary, same set of questions. Elementary is only asked from 3rd through 5th grade to participate in this engagement survey. And so we've had a pretty steady metric with this to look at. And my understanding, I'm not sure if this is completely done yet. We haven't seen the new survey, but that it's going to be an updated survey. So we don't know how the metric will compare in years, in future years. But we know that there's going to be an assessment of student engagement for this year again. When you look at each of the different schools, you can see one of the things we like to look at is comparison to state average. If you look at North Dakota Insights, it's important to click filter to the appropriate level. So what I'm saying is, if you're clicking around in there, you want to compare to high school students to high school students. You want to compare middle school students to middle school students, elementary to elementary. And the reason is that our district average is going to, in this case, is going to represent just the high school if I've filtered to high school. and the state average is going to represent other high schools. Middle school, you can see slightly above the state average there and closer to the district benchmark. And then each of the elementaries, some very high performing results and above the state average in most cases. But this does give good conversation. Again, the best use case for these results is for each of the schools to take a look at their individual results and their goals and their trends over time, and then try to react to that as a district school improvement committee and set some priorities based on that. That's the, I guess, the end of 1.1 and culture of learning. Any questions on that section before I move on to 2? Yes.
Could you give some examples of intervention, or like you said, like the schools in the district improvement committee look at this type of data? What would be an example of an intervention?
So some of the elementary schools have really focused on the parent engagement aspect of it, and trying to not just increase the participation in those, but the satisfaction with those events. And so adding additional metrics that can get them a little bit closer to what it is that parents want. We also used them last year that helped spin off a couple of groups to communicate with parents better about standards-based learning. So those are a couple examples that come to mind, but I certainly could easily pull those, because we just did that analysis in November and have that available for you.
We can include that, Adam, in our next superintendent report if you gathered that, and we can
Sure.
include links to the different strategies that they've looked at already.
Yep. Other questions? Okay. The second area then would be leadership for learning. And we value strong relationships, learning for all, including us as educators and leaders. So this one is broken down into 2 primary metrics and then 3 secondary metrics. So there'll be a few different chunks to this. The first one has to do with a community survey. This was a survey that we sent out in November, and it's on a 4, would be the highest rating that you could possibly get. And our goal was a 3 on that community survey. We had about 150 participants in that. The second metric is actually a repeat of another area, but we're looking at that Cognia Family Survey, wanting a 4 or 5 again there. And then a secondary metric on what we just talked about, percentage of students involved in work-based learning and internship experiences, percentage of students graduating with 25 hours community service, and then businesses positively rating their experience with the school and community relationship. When we look at our overall rating as a district in our community survey, so this was filled out by community members that participated in the survey, again 140 about, we did not meet our goal of 3 across any of the areas. Particularly, there were a couple of things that we pulled out that were important, that are going to be important conversations for DSI. One of them has to do with volunteering and clearly communicating what volunteering opportunities are available in the district, and then providing training for volunteering was another pretty pronounced low area for us. Still not something to feel entirely bad about. I think that we're very close on some of these metrics, and I think we need to maybe cast a little bit wider net or try to incentivize more participation. That survey was sent out to, I'd say, about 3,000 people, and we got about 140 responses. So, pretty good for the first time we've administered that survey, but definitely something we want to increase participation on. If you get a little bit more granular into it, you can look at not just these results, which are an aggregate of several questions that combine into the, or an average of several questions that combine, but you can look at the score per question, and that's where you start to get a little bit deeper into it. Again, we did this in November, and DSI, this will be part of our task to analyze next week as a district. So you can look through, when it comes to the district average with the Cognia Family Survey, this is a repeat of what we just looked at and analyzed in the community survey, or in the culture of learning goal. In our secondary metrics, we, as Mr. Wagen just presented on, he said he has 36 students currently. Well, 30 of the students participating are seniors, and the way our metric is written is we want 30% of seniors to participate in work-based learning. So some of the limitations with that have to do with schedules, and then also, I guess maybe the question that Mr. Rohr had brought up, which was, what's our continuum of experiences that help prepare students to take on work-based learning? It is a little bit of a act of courage. You wouldn't think a high school student who's got a job, but going into the professional world is definitely a big leap. And some students are just more comfortable staying in the high school environment than taking that leap. We do believe that if we had a continuum of job shadows and a little bit different types of career exploration activities, maybe in the middle school, and then job shadows as a freshman, sophomore, that we might see a little increase in involvement. But the biggest bottleneck would be access for work-based learning is getting your credits in CTE and having space in your schedule to do that. And then as in your senior year, having time in that schedule, or wanting to take on that extra beyond the minimum requirement as a senior. Another metric there, 75% of high school seniors graduating with 25 hours community service. For class of 2024, that was 64%. And then currently in EduCal, which is where we track that, we have almost 70% of students for 2025. We're projecting that we would meet that metric by the time students all put their hours in by the end of the year. But currently, we have not met that metric either, based on last year's graduating class.
Mr. Gaylor, Dr. Luck has a comment as well to add.
Yeah, Mr. Gaylor, I wanted to just clarify from what Mr. Wagen has said already. I think the intent when we discussed the goal for work-based learning and internships would be that students would graduate with those experiences. That's not what we wrote for a goal, but had we written it like we did the community service goal,
Then it'd
that
be
goal would have
cumulative,
been
yeah.
easily met and surpassed,
It
correct?
would, yeah, definitely be closer,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
And then the last one was of the surveys that were administered for this year. Mr. Wagen has a very specific question that says, yes, this was a worthwhile experience, and 100% of those businesses that responded said that it was worthwhile, so that metric was met. Again, with 1.1, DSI reviews and sets those goals and action steps based on the family survey and the student engagement survey, and I can offer those specifics in a report to you as well. With 2.4, there's a couple of things that are going on. One, we will be analyzing, and we have begun to brainstorm administratively, and then also with the elementary teacher leadership team, discussing how can we increase volunteering opportunities. We've found some pockets of excellence, some schools that have quite a bit of volunteering going on that's pretty well communicated, but a gap might be something that I'd like to take on is how do we provide some volunteer training so people, again, just like the students feeling confident about going out into work-based learning, what training could we provide that could help people get more involved? But elementary and the admin teams have come up with some good ideas for adding volunteer opportunities, and I know Dr. Leck has talked about how do we communicate that better on a website so that people, as they're interested, could be referred to that. The community engagement survey also shows that we have a little bit of a gap with communication and where people get their news and information. I know that you guys had the survey last spring related to the referendum that said that a lot of people still get their news from the Jamestown Sun. And so I know that there's a communication plan that's been developed and is being implemented this semester. We hope that that'll make a difference in that as well. I talked about how do we determine what are the limiting factors in students completing community service, internship, and work-based learning to try to increase those numbers even more. And then we've need to set up maybe some focus groups, as was pointed out earlier, that could help us understand what do businesses need from that to try to take on even more students. We have a limited number of businesses locally, but I think that we have some that just haven't been approached or engaged in it yet. One of the things I was talking about before I came up here with Mr. Wagon was kind of a GIS software that you could map out. I mean, showing a map of those 54 businesses would be pretty powerful, and a nice illustration for somebody to say, well, why isn't my dot on the map yet? So with that, I'd answer any questions you might have on goal 2. And
Any questions from the board? Okay. If not, approval of strategic plan progress monitoring, number 1, dashboard, number 2, goal 1.1, stakeholder engagement, and goal 2.4, improve and expand partnerships. Is there a motion? Motion by Aaron. Is there a second by Jason? We have a motion and a second for approval of strategic plan progress monitoring 1 and 2. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? If not, assuming roll call vote, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Thank you, Mr. Gaylor, for taking the time, and look forward to hearing more about some of the opportunities that we have for this. So thank you.
thank you.
Superintendent's report, Dr. Leck.
Thank you. You have my written report. I wanted to start off, we had, as you're aware, we had a couple of executive branch visits scheduled in January. The first occurred last week on Thursday. Lieutenant Governor Michelle Strindon, a number of members of the Department of Commerce, specifically related to the RWIP grant, and State CTE Wade Sick the director was also present. I included a link to the presentation that we provided. We had a wonderful visit. Lieutenant Governor Strindon was very, very engaged with what is happening at Jamestown Public Schools related to the ability to offer childcare, how that works. We had great discussion about the program in general. We shared a little bit about how we went from ideation to operationalizing, all of the different discussions that we had to have. And I thought it was a really great opportunity to share about that program. And I just want to reinforce, too, the same thing that I said to the Lieutenant Governor and other members of state government. You know, really without the flexibility of the state CTE board with our program grant and without the RWIP grant, we're still talking about this. We're having discussions about how great it would be if we could. Those two programs and their flexibility really made this happen, and we're very thankful that programs like those exist. And hopefully things with like the RWIP grant can include childcare again moving forward, so other districts and communities can take advantage of this kind of thing. But again, a wonderful visit. I've included the presentation. Happy to answer questions about it. But we also have a meeting scheduled this week. You may have heard this already, but the new superintendent of public instruction, Levi Bachmeyer, former business manager at West Fargo, he is embarking on a visit to every public school. So he's on the road a lot, and we're happy that Levi has scheduled us as one of his first visits. So he'll be here on Friday. So the schedule for him includes an observation. Of course, he wants to see teaching in action. He wants to see kids. He wants to meet teachers. And so we're doing a school visit, a classroom observation. He also wants to see the JVCTC and the Little Blue Jays Nest in action. And then we've set up a visit with community leaders. That includes school board, central office administrators, who did I say, school board members, whom I missed, different community leaders we had that we asked to come and sit in on that with us, and we're looking forward to that. Mr. Bachmeyer's doing a fantastic job, and looking forward to hearing what he has to say and to showcase our district. I'm sharing, even though the minutes were included in your packet, and obviously you were all a part of it, it's important that we revisit our school board retreat on December 1st. Big topics at hand, and I think it's important that we continue to go back to those topics. That's not just something that we did. There's something that needs to come from that retreat. And really the purposes of that retreat was focused around long-term planning. Specifically, we had conversations about downward trends and enrollment trends, and then a prioritization framework that was established and reviewed by the Finance Committee. So the enrollment projections are important because they are the biggest variable in state funding. Enrollment is the major driver, as the board is aware, on state funding. State funding is our biggest source of revenue. So declining enrollment is a big deal for the district and when we're thinking about planning. And we have to be able to pivot. We have to be able to think about what are those declining enrollment trends going to mean for us. As a district, as a community, as a board, we've already made a decision at the elementary level. We closed a building, we restricted we compressed sections from 8 to 7. We might have to think about doing that again as enrollments continue to decline. That's another point of conversation we had. But now we're also thinking about if that declining enrollment is happening at the elementary level, it is going to advance into the middle level, it's going to advance into the high school level, and rather than be reactive, we want to be proactive, and we want to start having those conversations now. So enrollment trends declining, meaning changes have to come from declining enrollment. Operationally, we can't continue down the same pathway. It's just not realistic to do that, as uncomfortable as that is. That's our job. We have to start looking at that proactively. And again, not to just react to what's happening right now. We need to be thinking about what's happening moving forward. That's one of the reasons why finance priorities was important. The board engaged in an exercise, well, the Finance Committee initially we coded every expenditure into a couple of different categories. Core, what is statutorily required for us to do? Priority 1, what isn't statutorily required, but it does feed into those core areas and it feeds into our strategic plan. Priority 2 and priority 3. So the board identified some, conducted some hypothetical scenarios. Not that these are scenarios we are intending to implement, but just to engage in the conversation, to have those hard conversations, just to really look, because we want to make sure, again, if we're making change, that we're making the right change, and we're being thoughtful about the changes that we need to make. We can't just do nothing. Doing nothing isn't an option, but we need to be thinking ahead, and the only way we can do that is if we plan, if we have these uncomfortable conversations, so we can move forward with where we are from that standpoint as well. That feeds into the design challenge that was done with all of our staff. They used the engineering design process, looking at research-informed, creative, practical solutions that improve student experience. We've talked about it in the past. The board had a couple of different examples of the design challenge, one from the middle school, one from the high school. And to operationalize some of these conversations that we need to have, they were partially informed by some of the survey results we had back, with the community wanting to be engaged, our staff wanting to be engaged in district operations and how district decision-making is made. You know, the staff perspective comes from the Vital Network. The community survey informed us from the community side. And so thinking about how we need to be future-focused and how we need to engage different stakeholders, we established the Guiding Coalition. We made a change at the elementary level. It was there, and we needed to make that change. But what are the other changes that need to come at the secondary level? They aren't feeling that squeeze yet, but they will be. And we have finite resources, right? Dollars are finite. We know what funding is, and that's finite. Time is finite. We know what our schedule is from the beginning of the day to the end of the day, but how do we think about our use of those finite resources? And those are the conversations that we need to have at the board level, but also this Guiding Coalition is looking at those different variables, and I've outlined the schedule. We met on January 8th. I've included some minutes in there, notes from that meeting. We're meeting again on January 29th, 2 times in February, and our final meeting in March is going to have a recommendation for a schedule redesign and innovative priorities that'll come before this board. So a group of stakeholders examining this and then scaffolding through analyzing all of the outcomes or all of the potential things we could do and narrowing that focus down to some recommendations that'll come before this board. I'm looking forward to it. The initial meeting was great. Very engaged stakeholders. These are difficult conversations, and I'm glad that we're having them. I'd rather be proactive than be bringing recommendations to the board that are just reactive to situations. So kind of 2 bigger topics. I'm just going to pause if there's any questions.
Aaron.
With that recommendation that's coming forward in March there, is that going to include a timeline then, a recommendation on timeline, or is that something we're going to have to hash out after the scope of the is defined?
Yeah, thanks. I had a mental note to make sure to include this, and I didn't. But what the recommendation would be not next year, but the following year would be a recommendation. We would need a year to plan. So you're not looking at a recommendation that comes in the 26-27 school year, would come for the 27-28 school year.
Okay. So I was under the impression that there's going to be some levels of some low-hanging fruit that don't require large initiatives. It's simply, prioritizing on our spending and what we want to scope for that spend. Looking specifically at the deficits that's projected for next year and being able to do something to reduce those.
So that's not specifically related to the Guiding Coalition. That has more to do with schedule analysis. We will need to look at, from a finance committee standpoint, on other things like that, and we'll be having recommendations that come forward that help to compress the budgetary impact. We'll have more recommendations coming too from central office, but the Guiding Coalition relates specifically to a schedule discussion.
Okay, so that's more of the larger initiatives that need
Correct.
to happen
Yep.
versus the breaking down those priority
Yep.
categories for.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Aaron, just to add to that, and Aaron, the Finance Committee will also continue to do their part in just looking at overall big picture and some things that we can continue to work on for. Jason?
So I may have missed it, but the Guiding Coalition group is going to be ongoing, or will that be something we keep in place as a district for the near future, or will they be done in March?
So how we have established the Guiding Coalition is as an ad hoc committee. So they would meet through these meetings through March 5th. If there's a need to continue those conversations, we may ask those individuals to continue, although they've made a commitment on X number of meetings. But there's certainly potential that it could expand beyond that. But we have asked them to meet for these purposes.
Any other questions?
Just keep
Okay,
going.
continue.
So we had we reached, some alumni reached out to us, and I'm not ready to share their names yet. I didn't get their approval to share their brand yet, but we had some alumni reach out to us and really just wanting to co-plan and work alongside of the district to identify ways that we can support at-risk families, at-risk students, to make sure that they are comfortable and prepared for school. And really a very exciting opportunities and discussions have come from that. Very, very early stages for us now, but really it focuses around engaging the community and corporate sponsorships around making sure that families and our students have all the things that they need to begin the year, that they have access to high quality literacy, and that we develop what we've called care closets at all buildings, the things that kids might need throughout the course of the year, not just what they need at the beginning of the year, their school supply lists, but also what are the things they need throughout the year, just again to help them be connected and feel comfortable and have all the things that they need to be successful at school. Those are things like, like I listed in my report, shoes, hygiene products, snacks, clothing, those types of things. We have that at different levels, but doing something as a district and engaging not only the community but also corporate partnerships and really get that going at a higher level than the pockets that we have it working in now. I think it's a great idea. Our focus right now is identifying the number of students we can help. We want to do this the right way and not do it necessarily as fast as possible. We want to do it the right way first, so maybe starting with the smaller subset of students first, bringing a lot of awareness to the needs and particularly without stigmatizing families, but what are the things that we can do to bring awareness to this? In our community, there are a lot of folks and a lot of communities, a lot of community members, a lot of businesses that want to help, but bringing together around purpose, I think we have a lot of people willing to help. And our rollout is designed for the beginning of the 26-27 school year, so a little bit more to come as we get around all of the things that we want to get accomplished for this year. So information for now, I'll share more as it goes along. Adam talked about our communications plan. I have included that, which the board approved in December. But also one of the goals, goal 3, attaches to what you heard in board education, what you heard in the progress monitoring. We put together a social media cadence. So what that is a district message on Monday, a school-specific Monday message on Thursday, and they are designed around topic areas to ensure that we're covering everything. We really need to make sure that our community is understanding what we're doing as a district, why we're doing it, what our teachers are doing in their classroom, what our strategic plan is, how it's impacting students, what we're doing about that at the classroom level. And so we're learning a little bit more about the best ways to message. I think it's a good first start for us in operationalizing that communications plan. We've got some good feedback already on it, but again, the goal is to promote strength and transparency and engage with our community. That's what we're looking to do. So if you're following the JP, and it'll all come through the JPS Facebook page. So if you are noticing those messages on Mondays from the district, Thursday from a specific school, please engage with those. As community members, take a minute to read through that, to make sure you see what's happening at the school, how we're allocating our resources, all of the great things that our teachers are doing. We're trying to give you a little taste of what it's like for our teachers in school and where we're focused on. So moving into the communication committee notes, as the board's aware, we tasked the communications committee with 7 key themes that came up in negotiations. And we've spent a lot of time talking about those, gathering perspectives, central office perspective, board perspective, teacher perspective. And now we're to the point where we problem solved and, brought different ideas to the table. And now we're at the point where we want to identify a couple of strategies that we can prioritize and focus on. And some of these, we feel really good about that. We've moved the needle on some, and others, there's maybe more that we should be looking at. So that's the next piece for us, is identifying those strategies as a communications committee, and looking forward to seeing where we go with that. I've included an interview schedule for our Louis L'Amour principal. We're meeting later this week to identify finalists and looking for a recommendation for hire to the board by February 16th. I'm going to come back. I had a couple of different information items on there, but I wanted to spend a little bit of time with the solar project. You may have seen that in the media. What is a $370 million solar panel farm, and it's located within the school district, so that has some implications for us. If it's completed to the projected capacity, that's 246 megawatts of power. So what you may have seen identified in the media is the school district would have the biggest impact from a taxation standpoint from this farm at $8.8 million. A couple of things that I want to make sure that the board is aware. When they say $8.8 million, that is over the life of the program. The life of the program is 30 years. So if you do the math, that's about $300,000 a year, and certainly a lot. We're the biggest impact. We're by that measure, the largest impacted political subdivision at $296,000 annually. So it impacts our taxable value. My assumption is centrally assessed property. I haven't been clarified on that, but my assumption is that. But it also has access then to a generation tax. And I've cited the Century Code in there. One of the things that's different about solar generation in Century Code is it's about capacity. It's not about production. So other electric generation taxes are based on production. Coal conversion, electrical conversion from coal is on a conversion metric. This is based on capacity. So it's based on that 246 megawatts of power. The good side of that is it's consistent. It'll be very easy for us to budget around. We'll know exactly how much is coming in because it's based on capacity, where it's a little more give and take when it's on generation. The downside of that is conversion is generally at a higher rate. So we see less, but it's more consistent. So that's the capacity generation tax side. What I want for the community and the board to understand, and I know that the board is aware, but we have a number of equity adjustments that come from our state funding formula. So although on paper we're the largest benefactors of the political subdivisions, we don't receive that $296,000 or that $8.8 million over the lifespan. We won't receive that in the same way that other political subs do, because of those deductions. So as the board has heard me talk about the state funding formula before, but I think it bears repeating, there are adjustments that happen across every school district to equalize some of the different funding sources that become available, so districts aren't haves and have-nots. So one of the ways that happens is with taxable value, and that's on 60 mills of the general fund. So those 60 mills of the general fund are deducted from our state funding. So some of this $296,000 annually, we won't receive because it's deducted from that 60 mills. Additionally, in lieu of tax is deducted from our state funding formula to equalize at the rate of 75%. So 75% of the generation tax we don't receive. So so maybe some takeaways from that, when I look and kind of do some rough math, so that almost $300,000, what we could expect to actually receive is about $100,000 a year. nothing to shake a stick at. I'll take the $100,000. But I just want to put it into context. That $8.8 million seems like a lot. You're spreading it over 30 years. And you're seeing some other state level deductions that decrease that for us a little bit. Now, those are things that other political subs don't have. They don't have that power equalization. But I think it's important that we recognize that we do. So some of the things that it doesn't impact, like our building fund, anything but the general fund is not impacted by those deductions, right? So our building fund, tuition levy, miscellaneous levy, special assessments, all of those things, those see that positive impact from that taxable value increase. Any mills in our general fund between 60 and 70, those additional 10, those aren't impacted by these deductions. Our first year of these larger taxable values coming on the books won't be impacted because that's always a year behind. Those 60 mills are deducted on the taxable value from the previous year. So for 1 year, we get $300,000. Subsequent years, we get $100,000. And then, like I said, that generation tax, 25%, we still do receive. That's only the 75% deducted. I have been asked this question. Some construction jobs, probably around 200, are expected, but regular employment opportunities are minimal. About 2 to 5 regular employment opportunities are my understanding of the project. The last thing I have, I just wanted to for my spotlight, wanted to welcome Terry Jones. He's our district's new facilities and maintenance director. He's really quickly acclimated himself, has done a fantastic job getting to know our systems. This is a big job, getting to know our systems, and more importantly, getting to know our people, what the needs are at every building, what the people's needs are, whether they're teachers or administrators. He's been very, very active. He's also taking on a supervisory role for all of our district custodians, and we were just very, very happy that he's working with us, and look forward to many years to come with Terry. So with that, I would stand for more questions.
Any questions from the board at this time? Okay. Owen, go ahead.
Going back to the communications plan, I liked Adam's term of pockets of excellence. So I think you highlighted some new initiatives focused on kind of that central Facebook, JPS. Is there a way, I know teachers individually communicate with families in different ways. Are there ways to kind of gather information about ways that might be working, not working, kind of close those feedback loops to see if there's ways to make, experimenting with those ways of communication more effective or nimble?
Yeah, we don't have we don't have a specific study to what every level is doing. I do think it comes to the DSIC, the District School Improvement Committee, discussions around the engagement. I think that's where that comes in, and those specific strategies that have been effective at different levels. But perhaps we need to take a deeper dive about what some of those specific classroom level strategies are, gather some information and help help our teachers understand what is happening and communicating at different levels, So a little bit more study needs to happen there.
Yeah, I think one example comes to mind at the elementary level of like newsletters with teachers and parents and hearing feedback from teachers that, I send out a thing and ask parents to reply via email and I get 3 responses, and then they are frustrated and then still continue to use that same newsletter, but they're frustrated and they know it's not reaching anyone. So it's like a way that, as we're starting to set up and operationalize the communications plan, understanding better ways of intervention or identifying some of these areas where we could support, because then not up to the teacher to kind of go out and be an expert in ways of communicating or ways of reaching families, but also,
Yeah, I think there's a little bit, Owen, we can do related to gathering the different strategies that are in place, kind of creating a buffet of different ideas that people could implement if they're not seeing effectiveness in this. Maybe there's a different strategy. Adam identified a survey that we conducted through the survey we put out last year. And it was very interesting to see at different age levels how people connected to the work of the school. And we were limiting ourselves to a very narrow band of stakeholders. And I think we need to continue to make sure that we're looking across different stakeholder groups who want that information in a different way. We know our parents might want one way, our community needs it a different way. And so a collection of different strategies that are effective is a good idea.
Good conversation, and the District Improvement Committee will continue with that. And there is representation on that from every building, so that's helpful as well. But any other questions or discussion? Okay. If not, moving on in our agenda. Nothing under old business, under new business, nothing under activities and buildings and grounds. Under curriculum assessment instruction, we have A, approval of dual credit speech high school course for the 2026 to 2027 school year. Is there a motion? Motion by Jamie. Is there a second? Second by Owen. We have a motion, a second for approval of dual credit speech high school course for the 2026 to 2027 school year. Any discussion? Any discussion? If not, assuming roll call vote, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Under finance, we have the general fund balance for your information as well as the monthly financial reports. Any questions for Christy at this time? Okay, if you ever have any questions, please feel free to reach out to her. Under personnel, A, approval to accept the resignation in lieu of discharge of Mike Romans. Is there a motion? Motion by Jason. Second by Aaron. We have a motion, a second for approval to accept the resignation in lieu of discharge of Mike Romans. Any discussion? Any discussion? Christy, would you do a roll call vote?
Jamie Bear? Yes. Heidi Larson?
Yes.
Jason Rohr?
Yes.
Jacob Meyer?
Yes.
Aaron Roberts? Steve Veldkamp?
Yes.
Owen McKenna?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Motion approved unanimously. Under B, we had notice of intent to consider a petition for recognition of representative organization for the Jamestown Educational Association. We have not received that yet, so we'll leave that on for the next agenda. Under C, approval of notice of recognition for number 1, Jamestown administrators. Is there a motion? Motion by Steve. Is there a second? Second by Aaron. We have a motion and a second for approval of notice of recognition of Jamestown administrators. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? If not, assuming roll call vote, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Under policies and procedures, we have approval of recommended policy update. Number 1, second reading of policy HCBA, which relates to vendor conflict of interest disclosures. Is there a motion? Motion by Jamie? Second by Jason. We have a motion, a second for approval of recommended policy update. Second reading of policy HCBA. Any discussion? Any discussion? If not, assuming roll call vote, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. We have nothing under tuition. Under other, we have election information. Christy, we want to just review that for us.
Okay, so for the coming election in June of 2026, we have 3 city seats open: Heidi Larson's seat, City 3, Jason Rohr, City 5, and Dan Tweeten, City 6. And in the rural, Melissa Gleason, Rural 2, and Stephen Veldkamp, Rural 3. Election will be held June 9th, 2026, to elect 2 representatives to rural and 3 to the city of Jamestown. The deadline for candidates to file intent with myself at our central office is April 6th at 4 p.m. So all the forms are online, or you can email me at christy.grounds@k12.nd.us or call 252-1950.
Thank you, Christy. Any questions? All right. Any items for future agendas? Owen.
The tonight the capital projects plan, summer projects got moved to get more information, but it would be great to kind of round out the process of that and, yeah, what's on it.
Yeah, I'll have, for board awareness, Owen shared, we have an executive summary for the budget. It might be a good idea to have one for the capital projects plan as well, make that a little easier to look at. So I'm working on doing that as soon as we get some of our roofing projects finalized, so.
Okay. Any other items for future agenda? Okay. If you would like an item for a future agenda, please feel free to reach out myself or Dr. Leck. Meetings to be scheduled. We have the District Improvement Committee, which is Thursday at 3:30 in the Media Center at the high school. Finance retreat for negotiations on Wednesday, January 28th at 4 p.m. in the district office conference room. School board meeting is on Monday, February 2nd at 5:30 p.m. in the Thompson Community Room. The North Dakota School Board Association Winter Summit on Thursday and Friday, February 5th and 6th. That is located in Bismarck. Are we missing any meetings on there, the committee meetings? Okay, just making sure. Next on the agenda is possible executive session to discuss negotiation strategies. Okay, no motion. And monthly superintendent evaluation, Section 4, Curriculum and Student Support Services, and Section 5, Community Relations. Please complete those. There being no further business before the board, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.